Hello folks and welcome. Today I'm going to walk you through my version of a chickpea curry. First things first is we're going to start off by cutting a few rounds of butternut, seasoning them with some salt and pepper, and getting them into the oven at about 180 degrees for the duration of this cooking process, which is going to be about an hour long. Take about half a cup to a cup of chickpea flour and season to taste. Use whatever seasonings you want, it's completely up to you. Chickpea flour can be a bit bland and bitter. Mix the flour with small amounts of lukewarm water until you have a nice creamy consistency. For this recipe, I've used freshly chopped coriander. Another good thing to use is the olive oil from sun-dried tomatoes. That adds a lot of flavour to any type of dish. Now we're going to get to work on the curry itself. Start by rinsing and draining off your chickpeas and then getting your spices on the heat to toast them before putting them through the blender. The spices I'm toasting today are Coriander Seeds, Anise, cinnamon and Cardamom Pods. You want to put them on a medium heat and just toast them until either the seeds start to pop or you can just see that it's starting to smoke. Don't burn them because otherwise they will just be bitter. Start slicing the onions and then add them to a pan with a little bit of olive oil on a medium heat and allow them to sweat down. To the onions we're going to then add a few cloves of smoked garlic and then some grated ginger as well. While the onions are cooking off, it's time to blend down your cooled spices. Make sure that you get them nicely ground down into a fine powder. Keep giving your onions a stir every now and then, make sure that they don't all stick together. Don't burn on the pan unless you're using a non-stick pan. And then once they're sorted to a level that you like, get some peppers and baby tomatoes chopped. Peppers just need to be roughly chopped and the tomatoes only need to be halved. Best to use plum tomatoes in this instance. Let's get the rice on to cook while we're doing that. Add some water to a pan and add a cup of rice to the water and bring it up to the boil. To this I also added a tablespoon of turmeric, a cinnamon stick and also a few extra cardamom pods. This is all just to make the rice a little bit more flamboyant and to add some extra flavour, because just because it's rice, it doesn't need to be boring. While your rice comes to the boil, add your chickpeas to the onions along with your dry mix blend and then some extra turmeric powder. Once that's done, add your peppers and your tomatoes. Don't forget to have a quick check on your butternut in the oven and make sure that it's not burning. It shouldn't be, it takes some cooking to burn a butternut, trust me. Don't worry about cutting the skins off either. Butternut skins are extremely good for you and they're really tasty as well. Add about a quarter of a can of chopped tomatoes. This just adds for a little bit of moisture to bind everything together and get the flavours mixed around. Give it a stir and then roughly chop some coriander and add that in. Once you've done that, you can add a can of coconut milk, stir it through, and don't forget to taste. If it needs a little bit more seasoning, go ahead and throw some in. This is also a good point to check your rice. Make sure that it's ready. If it is, drain it, rinse it, and set it aside for later for when you plate up. Cover the pan and just allow it to simmer on a nice low heat for the rest of the process. Personally, I had to move my pan to another area of the hob in order to free up space for when I cook the chickpea pancakes. At this point, I also took some Cavolo Nero and cut out the woody stalks and then roughly chopped down the leaves. then added a large tablespoon of oatly creme fraiche, which makes the sauce even more thick and creamy. Bring another pan to a medium heat and add a little olive oil. Grab your chickpea pancake mix and then pour out nice thick pancakes as you go. This is exactly the same process as if you were making a normal pancake. Add your Cavolo Nero to the curry and put the cover back on. You can turn the heat off at this point if you wish. The residual heat will continue to cook through the sauce, and it will also just steam out the Cavolo Nero nicely. When you see bubbles starting to form on your pancake, that's generally when it's time to flip it over. Allow it to cook on the other side before then placing the pancake on the plate ready for dressing. Next, you want to add your butternut round from the oven and then add your rice. You don't have to tower if you don't want to. You can just plate however you want. But I like to give my plate some height by building up the rice into a tower, and that gives me a basis to work from. Once I finish building the height of the rice, I generally add any large leafy greens, which in this case is the Cavolo Nero, which are then cooked from the heat of the curry in the pan. I place them around the rice and then add a healthy spoonful of the curry over the top. A lovely, healthy and nutritious chickpea curry with butternut, fragrant rice and a chickpea flatbread, or pancake if you will. Let me know in the comments below if this recipe was easy enough to follow. It should be, it's fairly straightforward. And if you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe, there are more recipes to come.